What's up, y'all? So this is our slightly delayed Cohutta 100 race recap.
It's only been a week. It's not really that delayed.
Feels like it's been a lifetime.
It's been about a week and a half.
So Jesse and I both went to do this race. Jesse has had this on his race calendar for a while. I was a last minute, got peer pressured into doing it. I got an entry into Leadville for this year, so that's cool. Paw Normal was able to get me one of their media entries, so I was able to get signed up and registered for Leadville. So I'm currently in the, the blue corral, like the media type corral.
Yeah, that's the one we did back in 2019.
Yeah, so I'll be at Leadville racing this year, 2025. In preparation for that, Jesse was like, oh, well, you should do Cohutta 100. And so I signed up the last day, like you could sign up. It was like Monday or Tuesday before the race, and mistakes were made. I should have just signed up for the 60. It didn't go well. I'm a little stressed about the rest of the year, but it is what it is.
I think Cohutta is harder than Leadville, though.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like Cohutta is absolutely brutal. Leadville, for me, the hard part of Leadville is the elevation gain, like the altitude sickness.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you put both courses on the same altitude, I think Cohutta would be harder.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. If anything we mention or don't mention in this video interests you that you want, check it out at thebicyclestation.com. You can get your very own Epic or Allied or flight attendant peyotes. You can get everything except for my dog.
No.
Can't have her. This was a very last minute, like pretty much week of decision. 2 weeks before the race, I'd let everyone at the shop know, like, hey, thinking about doing this. So if we're all good schedule wise, more likely than not going to go to this race, but I didn't actually sign up until the deadline. The drive down there, pure chaos. We had to put oil in Jesse's car for whatever reason.
Oil.
I don't know.
Cars need oil, y'all.
Oil through the car for whatever reason. And I'm just watching the women's Little 5 race on my phone.
So this engine, this is an BMW N55 engine. And it burns like whenever you, like, from my understanding is that whenever you like start it, like a little bit of oil burns off. And after a while, you just have to add a quart.
Now you need brake fluid.
Brake fluid, dude.
Oh,
it's just because this hasn't been like they didn't tell it that they, like, you know what I mean? Whoever did the fluid didn't tell it that it was okay. The brakes were crazy good on this. We do not need brake fluid.
I'm like on Google Maps looking up auto parts stores off the highway. I'm like, what is happening? So yeah, that was a thing. And it turned our 6.5 hour drive into a 10 to 10.5 hour drive.
We got there super late. We got there half an hour before packet pickup closed.
Yeah, so we made it to packet pickup by 8:30 p.m. Every restaurant in the area was closing, so I was able to find one that was open later. Called in an order for pickup, get through all of that, get to our hotel. We were gonna film stuff. We were gonna do a whole course overview, like recap type thing.
We were planning on doing a pre-ride.
And we were gonna do a freaking bike ride, and none of that happened because it was dark. The night before the race was a little shambly, but it was fine. Our hotel was 10 minutes from the start line, which
that was the best part.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Loved being that close. If you're familiar with that area, typically it's like a 40-minute drive. That came in clutch. I already had my bike packed up, my bags. I had my top tube bag, my hydration pack. One thing I did use, I'm a well-known frame storage hater. But guess what, guys? I put stuff in here. I'm not getting it out. It's still a pain, but I used it.
I think you have to use it for your races that you're signed up for.
Yeah, so
They're
I'm
too
just
long.
pretty much just leaving everything in here. I have a, oh God.
Other side.
Why can I not?
Yeah, it goes like that.
Wow, doors. So I'm just gonna leave my whole like flat kit thing in there for the foreseeable future. It's gonna come in handy at literally every other event, but just had like some CO2, a tube, little tire lever tool thing. And then I keep a multi-tool and a dart plug thing in my backpack for just easier access to grab. The race starts up a couple mile paved hill climb. Like you're just right out the gate, you are going up. It's just pavement. I was pretty happy with my pace. I made it a little bit up and then like started to drop back from the first two groups. I didn't want to blow myself up on the first climb, because then you immediately go into the single track, but get to the top like feeling pretty good. The single track immediately was wet.
The whole course was really wet.
It was like peanut butter. There was so much rain before. I went Blair, no. On the single track, I was going slower than I really wanted to because I was trying not to wreck and die. It was very, very slick. I ran the Vittoria Peyotes. I freaking love this tire. It was not the correct tire for the amount of mud and general wetness. It was a little too slick. I was slipping on roots and rocks, but I wasn't pissed about it.
It was correct for like the second 2/3 of the race, just not the first third.
Yeah, I still was able to make it through pretty much everything on the single track. I was just moving slower than I really wanted to. But again, like I almost wrecked so many times on the single track. I was taking it a little bit easier there than I think I would have otherwise. So made it through all the single track. It was super fun just to talk to people in the single track. Once I got to the gravel, it was super spread out because the two race distances like split. I had the leaders of the Big Frog race like caught me in some of the single track sections. There were so many people talking to me during the race about our videos, and it was super cool. I love when that happens.
I love y'all's videos.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. It's so much fun. There was one awesome guy that passed me and he was like I love your videos.
He was like yelling.
I love them. Got through the single track and then immediately I was just totally alone. Like there was no one around me at all. The gravel immediately was like pretty rutted out. It was rougher. It's not just like you get out of the single track and you're on like a smooth, happy gravel road. The water crossing was probably my favorite part of the race. It was just fun. A bridge was out, so they had you to like get off your bike and wade through a creek. And when I got to that point, I was sitting in 4th place for the women. One of the guys there, as I was crossing through, he was like, oh, the 3rd place woman is at maximum 5 minutes ahead of you. And I was like, okay, cool. Gravel, all that, that's reasonable. I can just grind for a little bit. And at that point, there were still like 70 miles to go. So trying to make up that time or catch someone over 70 miles, I mean, it's totally possible. So I was hyped. Regardless, I was on the podium. They do a 5-person podium, but that was like, I was feeling super good, super motivated, but that's also when it all started to just massively go downhill. Just this whole race is like nonstop climbing. My body just like did not handle life well at that point. My nutrition was beta fuel gels and I had the Element drink mix. It was all making me so sick. Through the last section of the single track, up through the water crossing, like I already knew my stomach was not doing well. And then it just progressively got worse to where like I genuinely felt like I could not carry on. And it was a massive crawl for me to get to the second aid station, which was a solid 5 miles farther out than they were supposed to be. And at that point I was like, okay, my pace has just plummeted. I am literally crawling. I'm gonna be out here forever. And I really can't hold food down. At that point, I was like, okay, I am no longer racing. I'm kind of more in survival mode. I got to the aid station, was talking to the people there, and I was talking to them about quitting. No one wanted to give me a ride back. This event doesn't offer neutral support. At the pre-race meeting, the guy literally was like,
the race director
was literally like, oh yeah, if you need to quit or anything, like get to an aid station and someone there will drive you back. No one wanted to help. No one wanted to give me a ride back. One of the guys was like, oh, if you just keep riding a little bit, then there's like a sweeper vehicle. They'll pick you up. And I was like, oh, okay. At this point, Jesse started texting me. And I'm like, okay, I can't really make it to where he is because I'm not feeling okay. Like that would take me forever, really in a bad spot. And so I was looking at a map and there looked like there was a road that went down towards, was it Black Mountain? I think is what the town was called. Maybe it's not Black Mountain. There was another town nearby that I knew a highway went through and there would be places for me to hang out and like Jesse would be able to come and get me hours later. So my plan was originally to go down there and then I just decided, okay, well, Jesse's been texting me this whole time. I'm gonna try to keep going and like see if I can get closer to him because once again, there was no help coming. I was not able to hold food down. My head was not feeling the best. It was just everything was kind of coming together all at once and I was just crawling. So I kind of had no choice but to keep going. One of the big changes on my bike for this event, Jesse let me use his Roval Control Team Edition wheels.
The teams, yeah.
These came out last year. This is the first like truly nice wheel set I have ever ridden. Immediate noticeable difference My first time riding them was during this race, and very, very quickly I decided Jesse is never getting these back, so these are mine now.
Well, I have the new ones.
Yeah, so you don't need them. They're mine now. I love them, and my mind is blown. Like, this is the first time I've ever ridden like truly nice mountain bike wheels. I'm not the one doing all of the testing here. That's Jesse and Trey. I'm just getting back into racing. So like, I've had no business riding these wheels, but they're mine now, and Jesse's not getting them back. They are freaking amazing.
Well, and you don't even have the best ones.
No, if
Yeah.
you want the best ones,
You can buy them.
you can buy them right now. Bicyclestation.com. Our shipment should be coming literally anytime.
So the reason we're switching people is because I think that I can tell the end of the story better, kind of from my perspective.
I would agree, because at this point, things that I thought I was totally coherent for, I was not.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm gonna just talk about what happened to me in the beginning. I had a really good start to the race. I just had like a ton of small little things go wrong. So 10 minutes before the start line, my power meter battery died. At Ozark Doom, I bricked a power meter, like broke it. I got a warranty one and installed the warranty one on this. This is a brand new power meter. The first ride I ever did on it was Cohutta. I'm assuming it was just a bad battery, I don't know. Normally they come with like little tapes in them, and I'm pretty sure it did, but for whatever reason it didn't work. At the beginning of the race, I have no data, and I know I don't talk about this a lot, but whenever I'm racing, I do look at my data constantly so I don't overdo it. And so I was just kind of flying blind, which is okay. Went into the trail roughly in 12th to 15th place range, maybe a little bit better than that. One thing I didn't realize was that there was at least 5 or 6 Masters people in that group. The main thing I didn't realize was both Christian Tangy and Brian Shorm were entered in Masters, which they're 2 of the fastest guys at the event. That's 2 places better than I would have done. I assumed that they were an open. This will become relevant later. The single track's going good. Ignore my mezcal. This mezcal is for Mohican, which is in a week and a half. The peyote setup I did intentionally because of how much gravel is at Cohutta, and I think that is the correct move. I didn't think it was as muddy as Chase did. I definitely had to slow down a little bit. So did everybody. I didn't feel like anybody was really going that crazy.
Like, literally everyone was in the same boat.
Yeah, so if I were to do it again, I would still stick with the peyotes just because of how back heavy the gravel is. Then I get out of the first part of the single track, and right before the big bridge that you have to cross into the second half of the single track, where the water crossing is, I freaking lost a contact and it got caught on my sunglasses. Luckily, I had extras in my bag, so I had to stop and re-put my contact in. At this point, I was riding with Thad, who ended up getting like 8th or 9th overall. Got my contact back in, kept going. I caught back up to Thad for a bit. He ended up dropping me. This is where I kind of started to lose my motivation. It's like I would bleed out like a space every few miles. Like somebody would pass me, and I was like starting to get kind of like upset about it. I got to the very last stretch of the single track. My freaking number plate fell off. Like my number plate fell off. I was just like, how could this get worse? I just wasn't in it mentally at this point. And so I jerry-rigged my number plate back on. I got passed by some more people while I was doing that, like 5 or 6 people passed me. But then I got back out on the gravel. I had a really fast time going towards the second aid station, and I'd always planned to stop at that aid station. I went really hard to it, and then they weren't there. They weren't there. And
This aid station has been the same spot for years.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like the 3rd time I've done the 100-mile race. Last year, I got 6th place at Cohutta in the 100 Open. I did it in like 8 hours and 20 minutes. This is the 3rd 100-mile. I've been to Big Frog 3 times, so this was like the 6th time I've been to this event. The aid not being there was the moment where I decided that I was just gonna ride for fun.
Yeah, I mean, the aid not being there is really what did me in too. So it was like the final nail in my coffin.
Yeah, I was fine though. Like I wasn't in like dire straits at all. I just wasn't racing anymore. Like I decided that I was fine. I wasn't gonna race. This is kind of the stroke of luck that happened. My plan was, I was like, oh, me and Chase never get to ride together in these things, like ever. Like I don't think we've ever really gotten to do like a race like that together. And I checked Find My Friends, and she was like roughly an hour or so behind me, maybe an hour and a half. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go really slow and hang out and wait for Chase, and then I'll ride the rest of the race with Chase.
I'm so bummed this didn't work out. That sounded like so much fun.
Yeah, so
I would have loved that.
Yeah, just because I kept having like little small things get to me. I was like, you know what? That'll be so much fun. After the aid is kind of the main climb of the day. And once you get to the top of it, the race is really easy after that. It's not like easy, but you've conquered all of the hard parts of the day.
You have like a solid 10-mile downhill.
10 miles of downhill, and then the final 20 miles is a lot easier to manage. The climbs aren't as big. There's still like a 700, 800 foot climb in there, but it's still like, that's not anything compared to like a 2,000 foot climb. I'm just like talking to people, hanging out. I get close to the third aid station. I pulled over and there's these dudes with like a cooler, and I ended up talking to them for like 40 minutes or something. I'm like trying to see where Chase is. I had decent cell service, and I was texting her. This is whenever she was telling me that she was like doing really bad, and she was, were you at mile 45?
Around there.
Where was that aid? That aid was like at 50.
It was closer to 50.
Yeah, because they had to move it. It was like mile 49. And so you were like right around that aid. I was fairly further ahead.
At that point, I was like crawling.
But yeah, but Chase just took so long to get to there.
I physically could not move faster. It was terrible.
Yeah, and so then I go to the aid station, and I had talked to her on the phone at this point. Very clearly was like having some heat exhaustion. One thing that I wanted to talk about is that like it wasn't like blisteringly hot outside, but it's kind of the first warm race of the year. And so it's definitely like a recalibration that needs to happen in the sense of like just getting used to the heat.
Yeah, I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, the guys who I made friends with the cooler drove a few miles down the road to pick Chase up in their truck. And then they were gonna drive her to the aid station.
This is the moment that I realized I might be like freakishly easy to kidnap. The truck pulled up and they're like, "Hey, are you Chase? Jesse sent us."
Which
and
is true, I did.
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I am Chase." They're like, "Do you want to ride?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So they stopped and got me in their truck.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm really glad that I didn't like go to the finish, because I think Chase would have ended up being stranded out there. Because just like her experience at the other aid, I could not convince any of these people working this aid station to give us a ride. The aid station people were willing to drop us off in the town that was at the bottom of the hill, LEJ, but they were not willing to drive us back to the start, which directly contradicts what was told at the race meeting. The race promoter asked for feedback, and I sent that feedback in. I'm not saying these are bad people, but I'm just saying that there's clearly a confusion happening, because I didn't understand why the race meeting we were told that we get a ride back, and then whenever we tried to do that,
everyone just kept saying no. These three guys that Jesse was hanging out with that ended up picking me up, they were super cool, and they...
No affiliation with the event at all. They were just random bystanders who have a cabin out there, and they were just there watching the race. One of them was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'll just drive you guys back. So he drove us an hour from his cabin, so it was a 2-hour round trip for him, and we were really thankful for him and his buddies for helping us out that day.
Best people ever. They were super cool. They were fun to talk to.
Ultimately, like, Chase was okay, but she was close to not being okay.
I mean, literally, with the one guy driving us back, we had to go to their cabin, switch trucks. It was a little bit of an adventure, but on our way to their cabin, they like almost fell asleep in the car. Like I was fighting to stay awake.
If we had to do that by ourselves, like Chase would have had to figure out how to get to a town, and then I would have had to drive and get her. I mean, that wouldn't have been the worst thing. That would have been fine. But
it would have been fine, but it would have been several hours.
Yeah, if you were feeling good, but you weren't. So that's kind of another wrinkle in this whole situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we didn't finish the race, which is fine. Last year, I had a really good Cohutta, and I had a really weak Mohican, and I'm kind of feeling more amped up to go to Mohican now. Normally, I don't like going to Mohican because it's so hard, but after what happened at Cohutta, I feel like I have a little bit of extra motivation for Mohican, which is exciting. Because yeah, last year, my Mohican wasn't the best race of the year. I think it was still a good trip because Chase really learned a lot about how to manage a 100-mile race. And I think that was really the goal of this. My race didn't go well, but I have 8 more 100-mile mountain bike races on the calendar, so I'm gonna be completely fine. It's not a big deal to have a rough race once in a while.
Yeah, so I feel like for me, it was a lot of like learning how to do an endurance mountain bike race. I have a lot of work on like nutrition to figure out. This was a really good time for me to test it out and like test out what my body needed. This was like my first foray really into an endurance mountain bike event. First time in 6+ years, I think, 6 years since I've attempted like a 60-mile mountain bike race even. I think it was a good test run for me. Kind of sucked that I died, but
I don't know if it sucks. I think it might have been good.
I think it is good that I died.
Nothing about your season is harder than Cohutta. So you have Lutsen and Leadville, which are both easier courses, and
Agreed. I was like stressed, like, oh my God, how am I gonna survive? But the more I think about it, the like less stressed I am.
you learn so much. And that's what I always try to say is like, you learn a lot. Even for me, I learned a lot, which is that in Cohutta this year, I was actually doing a lot better than I thought. On the gravel road, I ended up passing Thad again. You know, looking at where he finished, I wouldn't have been too far off of him. We kept kind of going back and forth, and he ended up getting like 7th or 8th or 9th or something. Had I stuck it out, I think I would have still been a top 10 finish. That's something I learned at this event, is that just to be extra, and I'm the one who always preaches patience at this race, and even I ran astray from the words that I preach about these events, so it happens to everybody. I'm excited for, what is it, Lutsen you're gonna do next?
Yeah, I'm doing Lutsen 99er next.
And I'll be at Mohican. I'm excited for that one, because normally I'm not, but I am, so that's hopefully a good sign. Kind of a weird race recap, but it was a cool story, and we had a fun weekend still. I mean, be able to do a trip like that, even though we didn't finish the race. I mean, I still rode 70 miles. I actually ended up riding backwards on the course trying to find Chase. So I got a good ride in still. Chase got a good ride in.
Yeah, it was at like 53 miles, 8,200-ish feet, 100 feet of climbing.
Yeah.
8,200-ish. So solid still.
Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little weird, but we got so much stuff in the mail today, y'all.
It's gonna be some fun videos.
Yeah,
coming.
some fun stuff in the mail today.
Some things you might not have ever seen or heard of before.
All right.